As you can see, I'm having a pretty good day today. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Carving Up Live. We're on Twitter as well as the Carving It Up YouTube channel and the Grid Network YouTube channel. As always, I'm Bryson Carver, and today is one of those days, sometimes you don't see good things coming. Not that you wake up with a pessimistic attitude, nothing like that. But I woke up this morning, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was that tonight's the NBA draft. We'll be talking about Wemby and Scoot and everybody. I don't know what it was. But something gave me the feeling that today was going to be a good day. Today was going to be a good day. And what do you know? My Golden State Warriors, I don't know if you've heard, it would appear that we're back in business because we just traded Jordan Poole, and we didn't just trade Jordan Poole as if that's not great enough. We traded him for one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game, a guy who's now going to be the best backup point guard in the NBA. I'll get to that in just a moment. Good time, come on. Hey. Yep. Oh man. Listen, this ain't like the feeling of winning a championship. There's nothing like that. Or even like when Steph dropped 50 in the game 7 and the Grizzlies got beat by 40. We'll talk about Memphis, by the way, trading for Marcus Smart in just a moment. But it's one of those days, man. Like you just listen. I don't believe in basketball gods, but it's days like today where you wonder: are they smiling upon me? Are they smiling upon the Bay Area? Are they smiling upon a gentleman who just took the job as the general manager of the Golden State Warriors, guy by the name of Mike Dunleavy Jr.? That's a name you guys will be, need to add to your basketball to your basketball dictionary or basketball encyclopedia, rather. I must start. I am not contractually obligated. I've yet to sign a contract to do a show. Although, if anybody is interested in doing that, I'm more than open to that. My Golden State Warriors just traded for Chris Paul, and as if that's not great enough, we traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul. So, when the season ended in heartbreaking fashion for me as a Warriors fan, us losing to, of all teams, the Los Angeles Lakers, the only two things that could be worse than that is losing to the Cavs, which I still haven't recovered from 2016, or losing to the Memphis Grizzlies. Those are the only two things that could possibly surpass the pain of losing, as bad as that is, but losing to the Los Angeles Lakers. And I was in a down mood the following Monday, and I said, when I was talking about, hey, how do the Warriors upgrade? How do they get better? Because obviously, you lose in the second round, you clearly weren't good enough to win a championship. How do they get better? And Mike Dunleavy Jr., in just one move, answered many of the questions that I had. The first thing being, we've got to get some veterans. We're too young. Jordan Poole's young. We had James Wiseman. He was young, so we traded him. He was too young. Didn't work for the timeline of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. Moses Moody's young. Jonathan Kuminga, who I freaking love, is young. Even Kevon Looney is somewhat young. I mean, he just completed his 7th year in the league, so by Warrior standards, he's fairly young. Need to bring in some vets, guys who have been there, guys who have done that. Again, Golden State's greatest success have come with veterans on the team, be it Sean Livingston, be it Andre Iguodala, Leandro Barbosa back in the day. You think about David West, JaVale McGee was great for us. Otto Porter Jr., Nemanja Bjelica, Gary Payton II just last year. Yes, it all revolves around the core three and Steph, Klay, Draymond. But you got to add the vets. You got to add the guys who, again, maybe they haven't necessarily won a championship before, but they played in big games. I mean, again, outside of, certain guys that never won a championship, have there been that many guys that's played in multiple Western Conference finals, played in an NBA finals just 2 years ago, numerous playoff series, year in and year out, than Chris Paul has? And again, I'll get to sort of the skepticism that I'm hearing from a lot of Warriors fans, which really disturbed me when I saw on Warriors Twitter today. I love my friends at Dub Nation, but I didn't agree with their take on this trade. Get to that a little later. The second thing, what does Golden State need to do to address some of their needs this offseason? Trade Jordan Poole. Been saying it for months. And it's heartbreaking for me because I didn't have a show back when the Warriors took Jordan Poole in 2019 with the late round pick in the 2019 draft. A lot of folks bashed. I said, this is great. So this is a guy at Michigan who's a shot maker, can create his own shot off the dribble. Like, he'll work perfectly in Golden State. It makes all the sense in the world. Had a rough rookie year, came back after he went to the G League. His second year played excellent. I'm thinking, hey, I think we've got our sixth man. The year following that, I thought he should have been most improved player in the league. If not that, sixth man of the year. Didn't win either. That's okay. He won a championship, played well in the playoffs. But the second that young man got his money, which, by the way, we could talk hindsight 2020, but at the time I said, absolutely give Jordan Poole money. No. You saw he started to challenge the hierarchy, the power dynamic in Golden State. Jordan Poole didn't recognize that, hey, I could be a 20-point per game scorer on a championship contending team. Making a lot of money, by the way. Evidently, that wasn't good enough for him. He challenged Draymond. We saw Draymond took it a step too far by punching him in practice. Didn't defend Draymond on that, but clearly there was some disconnect between those two. Numerous times throughout the season, you saw Jordan Poole and Steve Kerr going at it. And to me, most importantly, the guy who never, ever gets in people's faces is a leader, but is more of a lead by example guy. Draymond's the vocal leader, but Steph Curry is the lead by example, very even keeled. The late, great Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, once said that Steph is the scariest type of killer assassin guy on the court that you could see. Why is that? Kobe said, because regardless if it's going well, if it's going not, or if it's going well, or if it's not going well, very even keeled, doesn't overreact. He always believes he's going to hit the next shot. He's going to keep shooting. You even saw Steph Curry. Steph Curry, folks, got thrown out of a basketball game in January against the Memphis Grizzlies because of Jordan Poole's continued horrible shot selection. And that's something else too. Like we talk about, the Jordan Poole defenders was like, well, he averaged 20 a game last year and I think he averaged 26, 27 when Steph Curry was out, which is like, well, yeah, of course he's going to score more, being in more of a pronounced role. Jordan Poole in the playoffs, he averaged 10 points a game on 34% shooting. He had the worst playoff field goal percentage and three-point percentage of any player on the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs. There was even a game 4 against the Lakers, which Jordan Poole played 10 minutes, essentially a fourth of the basketball game, and scored as many points as you and I did, unless you played in that game. So yeah, yes, I'm beyond thrilled that Jordan Poole's gone. He was our version of Russell Westbrook. I said he's literally Westbrook, except a better shooter, but not as good of an athlete. And I trust Westbrook's never been a great defender, but I trust Westbrook more on the defensive end. Both have horrendous basketball IQs. Both try to do too much. I'd say Poole even more so than Westbrook. Trying to do too much with the basketball, taking awful shots. I mean, he's taking, fall away threes out of bounds with 16 seconds on the shot clock. Heat checks when he's cold as ice. So move on from Jordan Poole. That's a check. So we got a vet in Chris Paul. We trade Jordan Poole. Well, if we trade Jordan Poole, that's going to leave a little bit of a gap. Who's our sixth man? Oh, look at that. Our sixth man is now the best backup point guard in the NBA. A title held previously by Tyus Jones, who's now a Washington Wizards with Jordan Poole. I'll talk about Tyus Jones and the Grizzlies and that whole trade in just a moment. But now we got a guy, and if folks are saying, well, what about Chris Paul? He's 38 years old. His body breaks down at the end of seasons. He's tended to struggle in the playoffs. Here's the beauty of it, folks. Golden State's going to load manage Chris Paul. Phoenix didn't, because Phoenix couldn't. Phoenix was not in a position to rest Chris Paul because he was their starting point guard. Chris Paul's not going to be a starter in Golden State. It's, as of now, and barring any sort of drastic change, I don't see Draymond leaving. I think Draymond was staying regardless. By the way, something else too, Jordan Poole getting traded not only guarantees, I was about 99% that Draymond was going to stay, now I'm about 100. Because not only guarantees Draymond stays in that Poole's gone, but it also guarantees that Draymond comes back potentially on a reduced contract, because there was no way the Warriors front office was going to go to Draymond Green and say, yeah, we'd love to have you back. You're going to make less than the guy you punched, and it's been a locker room problem all year. Draymond would be like, after what I've done with this franchise, after considering the fact I'm still one of the premier defensive players in the league, that's a slap in the face, or a punch in the face, no pun intended. Goodbye. That's the only chance I saw Draymond leaving. You remove that possibility now. So Draymond's definitely coming back. The starting lineup of the Warriors, give me the same as last year. Curry, Thompson, Green, Wiggins, Looney. Chris Paul's come off the bench. And dare I say, Chris Paul plays, 45, 50 games max? You save his body. You get him ready for the playoffs. He's not going to play 35, 40 minutes a night. He's going to play 25 to 30. And assuming Golden State continues to be aggressive this offseason, they'll add some wings. They'll add more vets. I would like them to keep Moses Moody or Jonathan Kuminga, preferably both. I think both are going to be really good players, especially Kuminga in the NBA. But Golden State knows what they're doing with this. This is getting rid of Jordan Poole is addition by subtraction by itself. You now replace him with a guy who, by the way, we talk about Jordan Poole taking bad shots and whatnot. Jordan Poole was a turnover machine in Golden State. You now replace him. By the way, the Golden State Warriors, let's not just put on Poole. The Warriors have typically struggled with turnovers throughout this run. They had a guy who doesn't struggle with that whatsoever. Chris Paul, last season, even at age 37, had the best assist-to-turnover ratio, the fourth best assist-to-turnover ratio in the NBA. So, Chris Paul's going to come in. If he takes a shot, he's going to take a smart shot. It's going to be a mid-range, maybe the occasional three, in the pick and roll, maybe get to the basket, or he's going to set other guys up with good looks. And you say, well, what about Chris Paul from a fit perspective? How does he fit in Golden State? Glad you asked. And it's a question, by the way, that I asked about Golden State's offense. This is absent Chris Paul because I suggested, hey, is it crazy? This is when Poole's still in the Warriors, obviously. And I still don't think this is a terrible idea to at least call teams about Klay Thompson because there's a good chance Klay probably leaves next year because I can't give him the max. Can't give Klay Thompson the max at this stage. Trade Klay, Poole, and Kuminga for Damian Lillard. Because, and I discussed this, part of the reason Klay struggled last year, Golden State the last couple of seasons, you see where Steph's offensive production has skyrocketed. He's always been great, obviously, but the last 2 years especially, he's just been going nuclear. Some of that is Steph is the sixth greatest player of all time, but some of that is Kerr is more playing to Steph's strengths than he is the Splash Brothers' strengths. And I asked the question, hey, do you go back to the sort of motion offense, not as much high pick and roll? And Steve Kerr saying, nope, I'm going to go all in on it. Chris Paul's great in the high pick and roll. So is Steph. So obviously, aside from the obvious, Steph's the greatest shooter ever. Chris Paul's a solid three-point shooter, mid-30s, on a good night, maybe 40% three-point shooter, but that's not really his game. Can create his own shot and get others involved. Again, he had, 9 assists last year, 14 points, 9 assists. That's perfect. That's exactly what Golden State needs. A team that was the second highest, I'm hearing, hey, Jordan Poole averaged 20 points a game. The Warriors were second, in scoring in the NBA. Yeah, you lose a big chunk of your points there. Well, not really. CP3 averaged 14 and doesn't turn the ball over near as much. And offense isn't exactly a problem in Golden State. It's length, it's size, it's rebounding. They'll address that this offseason. But adding Chris Paul, Mike Dunleavy Jr., your very first move in the NBA was to not only fleece the Washington Wizards in that, guess what Golden State gave up? Poole, a kid they drafted in the second round last year, Ryan Rollins, who I'm not really sure he's going to pan out that much in the NBA. Wish the kid the best, though. And 2 first-round picks in 2027 and 2030. Steph will be retired by 2030, in all likelihood. I think it's a beautiful trade. By the way, something else, too. You know who else Mike Dunleavy Jr. Fleeced and fooled? You know what I love? He pulled a veteran general manager move. This is why I said I liked the bring in Mike Dunleavy Jr. to replace Bob Myers. I was heartbroken that Bob Myers retired, but I respect the man's decision, wants to spend more time with family. God bless him. But I said Mike Dunleavy Jr. is the perfect replacement. He's been watching Bob Myers. He's been watching the master for the last couple of years. And now he's taken from his old master's tricks. Talking about, remember he had a press conference the other day. Our goal is to, what was this quote? Something about he wants to keep Jordan Poole for the foreseeable future for at least the next 3 years. What was he doing? And I had a conversation, might have been with my man John Rivera or somebody else about this. You know what he was doing? He was boosting Jordan Poole's market value. Evidently, a dumb organization like Washington fell for that. It is a Wizards organization that gave up Bradley Beal and got Chris Paul, who they traded for 2 first-round picks, which they will probably butcher. So, needless to say, love this trade. Absolutely love this trade for the Golden State Warriors. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.